Hi, Roy here on my channel, Roy Reads Anything. I'm going to be talking about some stuff I've had a look at for the Holmes is Where the Heart Is event. Sorry, there's some neural pathway that obliges me to say Holmes for the holidays when that's not what the event's called. Holmes is Where the Heart Is, because it's nearly Valentine's Day. Yes, right. So, on my current slimline diet of booktube, I thought for the novel reading prompt, I would read a comic book adaptation of The Hound of the Baskervilles, one of the Sherlock Holmes novels, which I suspect actually took longer than reading the story, which isn't very long. But it was really good. So it was adapted by Marvel in 2 black and white comics that came out in 1975. So it was a bit of a nostalgia thing for me because I had these at the time. Also, I've got the hat, sort of. So this is like such a famously known thing, that the idea of Sherlock Holmes wearing a deerstalker hat came from the illustrator Sidney Paget in the original magazines, rather than being literally written in by Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh, did he write it in?
He wrote it like that, yeah. But I don't think he objected to it. He liked the Paget illustrations. I've always thought it was a really good hat design because the peaks on both sides.
Keeps the rain off your neck.
It's what you want for both shade and weather, really.
And you've got ear flaps.
You got ear flaps when it's really cold.
Ear flaps for us.
Let's see. Yeah, you can do this kind of thing.
That doesn't look ridiculous at all.
Yeah, well, if it was so cold, if it's cold enough to do this, you wouldn't care.
No.
That's what I say. So, I did buy a dark one. I'd like to at least allow for the possibility that I'd actually wear it in anger.
Really?
And it looks less like a cosplay hat, slightly, by not being the sort of normal beigey colour. Sorry, there's another... You might be also wondering why I'm wearing 2 watches. It's not for a very interesting reason. So that's why I bought a dark one. It's not meant to be like dark Sherlock Holmes, if there is such a thing. Like in Marvel, they had Dark Phoenix in the X-Men. Or it could be like Mirror Universe Holmes.
The ITV ones were pretty dark.
Yeah.
Not Basil Rathbone. He played Sherlock Holmes in the best television series.
Jeremy Brett.
Yeah.
Well, they could be dark.
They're not dark, but it's not like Mirror Universe dark.
No, I mean he's not evil, is he?
No,
but they're not. It's weird, isn't it? They're not cosy, and yet you can read them in a cosy way. Do you know what I mean? The going to the set, revisiting the setting, like when I did the short story prompt and read for the umpteenth time The Speckled Band. You know, you're in the apartment, there's Holmes and Watson and the pipe smoking and the banter between them, all of that stuff. It is quite it is quite a cozy, comfortable thing to be in.
And as long as you're not showing intravenous drug use,
I mean,
could let the kids watch it.
Does happen. Yes, I'm sure that's not in the Ladybird version. Or in this, although the idea of the black and white comics is that they could be a bit more adult and serious. So here's what you got. You got Ken Bar painted covers, quite lurid and pulpy, but also kind of cool. And the artwork inside by Val Myrick, which I thought was really good. I'm not going to wave and wave. I've done some pictures to put up so I can show you things. But yes, so you've got a sort of a black and white with a kind of wash to give tones is basically how it's done. And I think there's lots of things I like about the art. I think the way he done the face, it's like, rather than imitate, say, Basil Rathbone or even Sidney Paget or Walter Gillette, it's like he's gone back to the text. Let's see. A thin razor face, a great hawk's bill of a nose, and two small eyes set close together. So that's one of the Doyle descriptions, which actually is not quite the somewhat handsome man of action sort of face that you sometimes get. And I think that's what we get from Val Myrick. He's also, I thought, is very atmospheric, and I realised when I read them that these were the first Holmes on a page that I'd experienced. You know, I was like 14, 15, so it was these that then led me to seek out the books and read them as text stories. So yeah, atmosphere good, pretty tough artistic assignment, because in a way not much happens. So, you know, a lot of there's flashbacks to like the legend of the Hound, things like that, but there's an awful lot of dialogue that has to happen within Holmes's pad, and that can get quite comical when it's obviously like over-wordy for a comic. And really he's got to do all sorts of things with the body language and with the kind of angles, or camera angles as it were, to make it interesting when it's people in a room talking. But it's good. I mean, maybe it wasn't the best story to choose to adapt, because though it's got some moments of like massive action, there's also like a long period where Holmes isn't directly there, for instance, and you've got to have some epistolatory stuff. But it sort of works, you know. So I don't think it's like a perfect comic book. It might have been better to adapt a bunch of the shorter stories. Who can say? But it's a great attempt. I mean, there's some lovely panels. There's a really gothic image of Dr. Mortimer clambering about through some trees, and the way he uses white space to show the shock at the famous line about it being the footprints of a gigantic hound. Stuff like that works really well. I'd probably like to have seen a bit more sort of vast landscapes of the moors, things like that could have been good. Other than that, things that place it in its time. This advert for LaSalle Extension College, I think it is, Extension University. I must have seen this guy's face 1,000 times in comic books. If they were hoping to sell different adverts in their new adult black and white magazines, I don't think that had worked yet, because you're still getting bodybuilding, martial arts, stuff like that. No X-ray specs though.
Damn.
There's an advert for like the other black and white comics as well. So at the time you had Doc Savage, Planet of the Apes, Dracula. This was a Marvel Preview was a comic that had different stuff. Obviously not every issue, because this takes 2 issues, but you know, lots and lots of different things. Legion of Monsters was in here a bit later. Not an actual legion as in a sort of organisation, more sort of a portmanteau comic of comic book stories with a really brilliant cover. So I enjoyed dipping back into these comics. Enjoyed the short story. I'll try to get to a pastiche and a legacy story as well for the other prompts of Holmes' event of February.
Nice.
Other than that,
Nicely
that's me.
elided.
Whatever happens, at least I've got a nice hat out of it. Jenny says,
Can I tell me vaguely interesting story about Sherlock Holmes and Russia?
you can try.
I'm trying. It's about the Hound of the Baskervilles, sort of. So when I was living in Leningrad...
Let's take a vote. Yeah, everyone wants you to tell the story.
Thank you. I lived in Leningrad for 5 months in 1991, and I was chatting with some friends one day, and they were talking about a walk they were going on. Did I want to come? And some of the ground we'd be covering was Balota, and I said, so what's that? Balota. And they tried to explain to me what it was, and then one of them went, Hound of the Baskervilles, Grimpenmeer, Meer is Balota.
Oh,
Grimpenmeer.
oh right.
It's a bog, Balota.
Yeah.
Bog,
It's a great word.
Yeah.
It sounds like almost onomatopoeic.
Almost onomatopoeic, yeah. But it's
Okay, brilliant.
that was our common currency. Was something I hadn't ever read, but I knew what Grimpenmeer was.
And he's a big deal over there.
They love
like
it.
a lot of Victorian stuff. And I think there was a TV series.
Yes, there was.
Quite...
You can find it on YouTube. It's not as good as the Russian Winnie the Pooh.
Really?
Yeah, Winnie Pooh is great. It's a Russian cartoon. I was watching it with another friend one time, and he's going, I love Winnie Pooh. I said, yeah, and me. Winnie the Pooh in English. And he said, yeah. I said, did you know it's an English book, first of all? No, it's Russian. It's Russian. No.
Probably is.
Oh, never knew that. So, yeah, you can find Winnie Pooh on YouTube as well.
Excellent.
And he's lovely.
Good.
Nothing like the Walt Disney Winnie the Pooh.
No, I don't like the Disney one.
Nah.
Well, there you go, from Grimpenmeer to 100 Acre Wood via my hat. All good stuff.
Leningrad.
And Leningrad, yes. Okay. Hang on.
Leningrad, if you don't know, because you might not, is St. Petersburg.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah.
And it was called Leningrad when I was there.
Before the revolution.
No.